Well, this is something new for me. I don't think I've ever done a game when it's this modern before. Like, this only came out like 3 years ago, I think. Yeah, 2015 to 2017. Um, yeah, I guess it's a good place to start with all this. But yeah, Yooka-Laylee, a game that, let's just start from the beginning, I guess. Uh, Back in like 2013-ish, there was a Twitter account that came out called Minji Jongo, named after one of the bosses of Banjo-Tooie for the, maybe like one person who knows me who doesn't know what that is. Hinting that they were a team of ex-Rare developers looking to make a spiritual successor to the Banjo-Kazooie series, which, if you know me, is kind of an important franchise for me, um, putting it lightly. In fact, I've like tried to do a Let's Play of the first game like several times, and each of them have kind of failed. So it's also kind of a cursed franchise for me. So yeah. um, but back to what I was saying. So that was teased. Nothing really came of that until eventually, like late 2014-ish, I think, maybe like early 2015. It resurfaced kind of, and eventually a teaser image came out of characters that would eventually become the protagonists of this rebooted Banjo-Kazooie spiritual successor, which would finally surface as Yooka-Laylee, the game we're playing right now. It started off as a crowdfunding campaign that had a lot of hype surrounding it because, I mean, obviously. Like, I feel like I shouldn't need to explain the circumstances around how Microsoft has treated the Banjo IP since they bought Rare. But yeah, basically people were pissed and stuff happened. And yeah, a lot of people, myself included, got really excited for what would basically be an unofficial Banjo 3. That's really hard to pronounce. God. Imagine if they'd actually made a Banjo 3 with that as a name. Yeah, so that came out, that Kickstarter came out, that is, did gangbusters, more or less. And as time went on, it was looking like this would be the game to break the curse of the kickstarted spiritual successor, or something of the sort. And, well, then it came out, and a lot of reviews were saying it was, like, both from, like, the general public and from critics, were saying it was kind of janky. Probably should have been left in the past. It was an outdated kind of game. A lot of the things that it did only really worked because of the time period it was in, and, yeah, there were some genuine complaints mixed in with all of that, and to be fair, I guess you can, I don't know, but for me personally, I've played this game through to completion like 4 or 5 times since it came out. It was everything I wanted it to be. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say it doesn't have flaws. I'm just gonna say that I really liked it. A lot. As evidenced by me playing through it 4 or 5 times. And hey, this will make the 6th, I guess. So, let's begin, I guess. One thing that does bug me, by the way, this is a PC version if you haven't gleamed already. I'm kind of annoyed that the graphics options are very basic because I hate depth of field, and this game has really aggressive depth of field in a lot of areas. And yeah, I wish I could turn that off by itself. There's like a mod to turn it off, but it also screws up the shadows, and yeah, I don't know. I'll just live with it like this, I guess. Actually, I guess you could turn... No, even on the lowest graphical settings, depth of field is still enabled. That's weird. Huh. Huh. But yeah, that's like one bugbear I have, and also for some reason there's a crouch and roll toggle, even though those are shoulder buttons, and there's not really any reason for you to ever have them on a toggle, but I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's get on with the game. You know, I spent a lot of time trying to get that intro right. I'm happy with how it came out this time. I'm not going to do it again. But yeah, that was just a file I started up to test to see if OBS would cooperate with the game, because again, this is the most modern game I've done a Let's Play of. I don't know exactly how cooperative OBS is going to be here. Oh yeah, also, this loading screen is funny. It used to be animated, but across every version, it ran like hot garbage. So, eventually, they just made it static on the Switch and PC versions. I think it might also be static on the PS4 and Xbox versions, but those ports suck. Fun fact, the first several playthroughs of this game I did were on the PS4 version, and yeah, it's not good. Yeah, if you want to play this game, play it on like either the Switch version or the PC version. The other versions are garbage. I love the Vice President statue, or President. And of course, they never actually do bin it. This is definitely a very rarer game plot, by the way. It's kind of obvious if you're familiar with Rare as a company where this game's plot took its inspiration from. For those that don't know, basically capitalism sucks. That's the moral of the story. And yeah, see what I mean about the kind of aggressive depth of field. I wish I could disable that. Again, I hate depth of field. Like, in every use of it, I absolutely refuse to believe that there's any game or any anything ever really that has used depth of field in a way that doesn't just make the game look worse. Also, I like the touch that Laylee just gets a way bigger mat than Yuka does, even though she's like tiny. I also like her giant fucking nose. Pants and why you should wear them. That's a good book. Actually, how thick is that book? Using that upper book as a comparison, I want to say... See, there's 145 pages in that book in total, so... That'll be a 60-page book on why you should wear pants. Also kind of like that Yuka and Laylee aren't, like, necessarily heroic characters. They just want their fucking money. Yeah. Again, very rareware. Speaking of which, this is cool. This is Laylee's lounging quarters, because she's a bat. I wonder how they got the CRT and the table to stick like that. Did they, like, use some, like, really strong glue to keep them together? Also, Laylee, why do you use a CRT to watch TV in the year of our Lord 2017? That's probably gonna look terrible because this is in this is gonna be recording in 720p and yeah. Oh well. And then I don't do the visual gag. Oh right, I should probably get the thing. Alright, so here we have Trouser Snake. Get it? Get it? Trouser Snake? Do you get, it means penis. Yeah, I guess I should mention, a lot of people were complaining in this game about the character mumbles and how they shouldn't have them because they're annoying to listen to, and I feel like that's kind of missing the issue with them in this game, because they felt fine in Kazooie and Tooie, but in this game they just kind of don't. Like, Yuka sounds terrible, and Trouser also sounds terrible. I think they did these in a different manner than they did in the Banjo games, and that's why they sound weird. Like, they sound kind of harsh. They don't really, like, lead into each other as well as the mumbles in Kazooie and Tooie did. And that's really the issue. So yeah, I usually just, like, skip past these when I play the game. Just so it only, like, does one mumble. In fact, I think they actually added an option to, like... In fact, let me check that real quick. Yeah, short speech. This just, like, does a little bit of a mumble when someone talks. Yeah, that makes it a little easier, I guess. A little easier on the ears. Oh, something else that kind of bugs me is the talk to people button is the same as your action button. I never like when games do that, but I guess it's kind of a... I don't know. I guess it just happens because, like, X on the DualShock is the same button that's accept and everything else. Well, except for Nintendo games and I guess Japanese PlayStation games, because on those, like, the circle equivalent to accept. Although, I don't know, is it just me, or... Because I always feel like it would make more sense for, like, square to be accept, or at least the whatever button people would usually put in square's place. Like, the A button, in my opinion, should be on the left of the diamond. And, like, B should be the bottom. But, I don't know, maybe that's just me being weird. That's just what always feels more natural to me, I guess. Cool, I guess we could do that, but, I still got 5 more of these quills to find. I probably shouldn't need to explain most of this to y'all, because I feel like most of you are also familiar with Banjo and can kind of make out what's the equivalent to, like, notes or jiggies or whatever, but for the record, yeah, these quills, they're more or less the equivalent of notes. They're kind of more like the notes in Tui than Kazooie, because they don't, like, block level progress aside from, you know, just what moves you need to access certain other areas of the game. They literally just, like, you trade them to Trouser later on, and you get moves in exchange for them. And that's all of them, okay. By the end of this video, we should be seeing the Jiggy XP, and one of the two things that more or less replaces the honeycomb system. Actually, did I pick up any butterflies during all that? Well, we'll have an opportunity to see what they do quick enough. Anyway. Lispy. You get the subtext? Yeah. The writing in this game's kind of hit and miss, but I think when it's good, it's good. Also, over here's a little bit of the tutorial section. Kind of just teaches you how to double jump, how to crouch, L2 by the way, and how to swim, which swimming controls are kind of weird in this game. However, if you're good, you can skip all of that. Just a couple well-timed jumps. And also over here, we're not supposed to get here just yet, but if you feel so inclined, you can get over here and find a butterfly extender. So in this game, your health is represented by butterflies. Oh god, this is really loud. I'm having trouble hearing myself talk. Your health is represented by butterflies, and you get more health by eating butterflies, but specifically by, like, using circle to do this, like, tongue lash move, which will, like, lock onto them. And those butterfly extenders increase the amount of health you have, and it's just like you get one and it gets you another health point. And that's more or less how things work. So we've skipped, like, most of the tutorial, but real quick I do want to show off how swimming works, because it's kind of weird. It doesn't work the same way it did in Banjo-Kazooie or any of the other rare collectathons. It works a little more like... What's a good example? If any of you have played Pac-Man World 2, or Pac-Man World 1, I guess, as well, but 2 is a little more easily comparable, I guess. It basically works the same as that. You move with the stick normally as you do while you're on the ground, but you have, like, a ascend and descend button as well. In this case, it's either square or L2 to descend and X to ascend. And that's basically it. There's like one transformation later that works underwater that you can only use L2 to descend with. But, yeah, it's kind of janky, and I really don't prefer the way swimming controls in this game to Kazooie and Tooie, but I guess some people do. I don't know. It just feels awkward to me. But to be fair, swimming in the 3D space typically doesn't feel too great. Alright, so we could go over there and take on our first real-ass enemies. Or we could do this. Yeah, that's something I really like about Yooka-Laylee. It's not afraid to let you try out ways of dealing with challenges that just feel wrong. Like, you don't have to necessarily do things how the developers intend if you find a way to do it another way. And I really like that in games. Like, this is my favorite kind of platformer in general, I think. Got a lot of shit to collect, and you can do things whatever way you please, so long as the moveset allows for it. No invisible walls aside from, like, just, the bounds of the playing area, I guess. If that makes any sense. Like, we won't be seeing any invisible walls until, like, way later on, when we have a move that kind of necessitates having invisible walls. Otherwise, you kind of get lost in the world. Whatever, let's just whack one of these dudes. Yeah, usually when you take on all the enemies of a group, the last one you kill spawns a butterfly, and butterflies, as I said earlier, you eat one and it gets you a little bit more health. However, you can also walk into them and it won't refill your health. It'll do something else. In this game you have an energy bar, as you can see over there. We'll get into what that's all about in a minute. And by in a minute, actually, I forgot there's something else we need to do first. Right. I guess let's just talk to Trouser real quick. Let's just skip this. That's basically just telling us where we want to go. And hey, check it out. The Vice President statue is still there. That's dope. And I love how they do what I used to do as a kid when I ran out of space, and I'd just, like, write the last couple letters, like, cram it in as best as I could. Yeah. Anyway, this is Ivory Tower, is more or less the hub area of the game. A lot of people kind of complain that it's a bit too big and kind of hard to navigate. I never really had any trouble navigating it when I played this game the first time, but I don't know. Works on my machine, basically. And here is the PG. As should probably be obvious, this is the equivalent of jigsaw pieces, or jiggies, in Kazooie and Tooie. By the way, the guy that voiced these was one of the Kickstarter backers. One of the tiers was like, you get to voice a character in the game, which is really funny considering all the voices in the game are just mumbles. Yeah, I forget his name, but I think he did like some abridged stuff. Like some anime abridged series things back in the day. I wish I knew what his name was off the top of my head. But yeah, there's a few people that got to voice characters in because of the Kickstarter thing. I know one of them someone Liv doesn't really like a lot. Some like Pokemon YouTuber whose name escapes me. I don't know what he voices though. I think those are the only two like notable names that have gotten in because of that. Oop. Oh well, I don't have the move needed to break the nose off anyway. So, Trasher says that, but for the record, for the later moves you get in the game, you do actually need to have gotten at least one Pagey in each level in order to get a move from said level. Believe me, I've tried. It irks me that we can't skip this part of the cutscene. Seriously, how did anyone get lost in this world? Like, how? Like, I should mention these signs, actually, because these weren't in here originally. They were added in because apparently so many people couldn't figure out you go up this ramp that the game specifically tells you to go up, and that's where you find the first world. Apparently, expecting anyone to just explore around and figure things out on their own is too much fucking effort. Like, genuinely, how did even a single person get lost in Hyverwee Towers, even without these signs? Why did these signs need to be added in post-launch? That's stupid. But yeah, we have a roll move now, which, more or less, oops, I didn't mean to go that far. Alright, let me get back to what I was saying. The roll move is more or less a talent trot in this game, but remember that energy meter I was talking about earlier? Well, the roll move uses that meter. It's our first move that uses it. Now, you don't actually necessarily need to be moving around while rolling to get up these things. You can just stand completely still while in the ball mode and stay on those platforms just fine. And that's something you'll kind of need to know for a boss coming up in the first world, actually. A lot of people don't tend to notice that right away, and thus they have a lot of trouble on certain parts of the game. And yeah, I just figured I'd let y'all know right away. That's roll move, by the way, or the energy bar does actually recharge by itself, even if you don't have any butterflies nearby, just because otherwise it would be a pain in the ass. In fact, you can see now it's already all the way back up. And yeah, I kind of like the roll move a little more than the talent trot, just because there's actually reason to not just use it all the damn time. And yeah, more or less the grand tomes are how you enter different levels. There's something a little more to this mechanic than what you got for Jiggies and Banjo-Kazooie, or in Banjo-Tooie as well. But we'll get to that when we get to that. For now, we've pretty much done everything we really need to do. Let's just open up our first real level of the game. Only cost of 1 PG we've seen so far. And when we meet next, we'll be entering the first level of Yooka-Laylee. Tribal Stack Tropics. So, I'll see y'all then. Sorry for the extra long video. I don't know how long these videos are going to be going forward, but I'm going to try to keep them under 20 minutes, or around 20 minutes at least. Just because I don't typically like doing 30-minute videos. I just made an exception for here because I wanted to get all this stuff out of the way before the second video, you know. So, see y'all then. Later.